All right, Pastor Jenny here, and this is going to be my first review ever of The Handmaid's Tale, and I am going to review season 3, episode 8, and I am a very late bloomer in almost every area of my life, so it's only appropriate that I'm a very late bloomer as it comes to The Handmaid's episodes. I binge watched this just like 2 months ago to get caught up. I had heard about it, but I had heard that it had some very strong sex scenes at the beginning, and I had stayed away from it. As you guys know, I'm a pastor. Well, if you guys don't know, I'm a pastor, but and I was, I don't necessarily enjoy a lot of swearing and, graphic scenes, but I decided to watch it because I had heard over and over again, I had heard that The Handmaid's Tale was a cautionary tale about the dangers of a regime, authoritarian regime, theocratic regime. I knew that it had to do with religion gone wrong, and being a pastor and being a lover of the United States of America and a lover of democracy. I kept hearing too many comments that made me feel like I was missing out, and I think I was. So, I suffered the first couple of very graphic scenes in the first episode because I thought that the tale and the show were worth me sticking to it, and I fast forward a few times. But needless to say, I'm jumping late on this wagon, and I hope that you guys like this review, and I might go back. I don't know how. I'm thinking not by episode, but maybe by theme, because it's kind of late and everybody has said almost everything that has to be said. But I have been looking at reviews, and I'm like, yeah, I think I can. I've been commenting in those reviews. I'm like, but maybe I can just add something. So I decided to jump on the wagon. So we'll see, based on the views and based on your likes and subscriptions, whether this is worth me doing again. But let's jump to the episode. This episode had Aunt Lydia's backstory, and I want to start with that only because for me, it was a little bit, it wasn't a letdown per se, but it was a confirmation that someone doesn't need a big justification to embrace evil. I think that a lot of people were thinking, being that Aunt Lydia is such a complex character and goes from being sweet to being evil, that maybe there was this big trauma that had caused her to become this monster, but in reality, there wasn't. The guy that, she has this, she's a teacher after practicing family law, which is close to my heart because, as you guys know, in Panama, I used to practice law, and one of my areas of expertise was family law. And she used to practice family law, but now she's a teacher, and she's teaching this boy, and this boy is, has a mom, the typical working class mom that holds a job and is doing her best to support her child, but is single, and so in so doing, she doesn't have the ability to provide the kid with the most nutritious meals. She's arriving late to pick him up from school. And, as a working mom, I can completely relate to that. And I'm sure a lot of moms, working moms, can relate to that sometimes you feel like you're not succeeding at work because you're rushing to get to your kids. And you feel like you're failing your kids because we can get home early enough. And, I'm married. My husband is an amazing husband, and he helps me take care of my 2 children. And I still have a hard time balancing being a professional woman, a working woman, and taking care of my kids and my family. So my hat has always been off for single moms because it's tough. So at any rate, basically the setup is that Aunt Lydia doesn't consider that this is a fit mom because she's arriving late. And then as she gets to know the woman and invites her to her house to have some chili with the baby boy, I'm thinking he's a 6-7-year-old boy. She starts talking to this woman. She starts encouraging her to do better for the child. And as their friendship progresses, we come to find out that this woman is dating. And in this particular occasion, she is dating a married man. Aunt Lydia, being a very religious person, that rubs her the wrong way. It would rub me the wrong way too. I'm married. I've been married to my husband for over 20 years, and I certainly don't appreciate the concept of a woman, messing with my husband. I'm a very godly woman, but I can also be very strong when it comes to fighting for my man. So don't touch my man. And I don't necessarily, I'm very eager to embrace women that destroy marriages, because I really believe, after being married for over 20 years, that all marriages go through tough situations. Mine has been tested on and off throughout the last 20 years. But my husband and I have found a way to fix things. We found a way to work it out. And I think that when you get someone, an external person that's trying to sleep with your husband or your wife, whichever your case is, then that diminishes the possibilities that a couple can work on the relationship and make it succeed in spite of the challenges. Having said that, on Lydia frowns upon that, and then but she continues growing her friendship with this lady. And then we see that there is this coworker who seems to be like the principal of the school where Aunt Lydia is teaching. And he basically, you can tell that they're attracted to each other. And there's a Christmas party where Aunt Lydia uses the makeup that the mother of the kid gave her as a gift. And she starts sharing with this guy. They go to Aunt Lydia's house and they start getting very romantically involved, very physically romantically involved. And at some point he stops her. And in all due credit to Aunt Lydia, he had already told her that he's been a widower for 3 years. So when Aunt Lydia is getting physically close to this guy, she doesn't feel that she's violating any vows, at least not from the perspective of messing with a married man. She might have crossed the line in terms of the physical proximity, because as a Christian, we embrace sexual relationships only after marriage. So all of a sudden, he kind of pushes her away and basically tells her, I really like you, but I think it's too soon for me. So then Aunt Lydia feels, somewhat rejected. But it's kind of stupid in a way, because he's not completely rejecting her. He literally tells her, I want to see you again. It's just a little too soon for me. And some of you might be thinking 3 years. Well, I think different people grieve differently. And in this case, this guy is not ready yet. He's not ready to date. He's not ready to get into a serious relationship. Aunt Lydia seems at that time to be a very respectable woman, a teacher, a professional, former attorney, and he probably thinks of her as material for marriage because he himself seems to be a very devout believer, and so he doesn't want to play with her, and he thinks it's too soon. Well, Aunt Lydia takes it really, really hard. The guy leaves in spite of the fact that he's told her, this is not don't take this wrong. I want to see you again. She takes it very harsh and she hits the mirror, which tells me that that's a very selfish approach to love. If you really care about someone and the person tells you they're not ready and they're willing to see you, to continue seeing you, what the heck do you need to have that reaction? That is a very selfish reaction, a very tantrum type reaction, like I want you now, and if you're not ready for me now, then I'm going to be really mad and I'm going to become a monster. Well, then it cuts, and then we see that Aunt Lydia reports this mother because she feels that the mother is unfit. And I think the creators of the show, the writers of the show, are trying to make us believe that Aunt Lydia would have not reported this mom had she not been rejected by this man. And I partially agree. But in reality, everything that this woman stood for is exactly what Aunt Lydia stands against. So I do believe that the rejection, the quasi-rejection of this man might have been a factor, but I think ultimately Aunt Lydia was already thinking that this was an unfit mother, had already very, very hard thoughts about her messing with a married man, already felt very, very strongly that she was not doing the best job that she could as this child's mom. So although I believe the rejection of the guy was a trigger, I don't believe that it was unavoidable that eventually Aunt Lydia would have thought that she needed to do something to save this child. So that being the case, guys, we're just gonna agree that there's absolutely nothing in Aunt Lydia's background that justifies that she became a religious monster that decided that she's going to help a regime that systematically oppresses women and that makes them feel like they are someone else's property. And later on, I will talk a little bit about Gilead in a different video. I will talk a little bit about Gilead as it relates to sexual abuse than the Bible and all that stuff, because we definitely, as a pastor, I want people to know that under no circumstances should anybody believe that Gilead is a reflection of the Bible or of the Christian faith. But we'll talk about that later. Let's just real quick go to the rest of the episode. And the rest of the episode shows us that June is still very, very mad of Matthew. We know that of Matthew is a tattletale. We know that of Matthew, whether she's doing this because she is traumatized for whatever reason, she chooses to report the fact that the Martha is trying to arrange for June to see her own daughter. And because she's done that, she's being shunned by the rest of the handmaids. June is hating on her. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, why is June turning to the dark side? Well, June is turning to the dark side because she's being affected by the darkness around her and she's hopeless. And also because a mom, the love of a mom, the passion of the love of a mom for a child is very, very strong. And June has been in this very oppressive system, and the only hope she had was to see her daughter. Her daughter is the only reason why June until now has refused, although she's had opportunity to leave Gilead, a place that oppresses her, and she's decided to stay behind because she doesn't want to abandon her daughter. So I think we shouldn't be too harsh on judging June. Why is she going to the dark side? There's a lot of darkness around her. And I think that we need to give her a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. Well, Joseph is being rejected. They're chanting that it is June's responsibility, really, that the Martha got hung because Jude put her in danger. She also was negligent towards her daughter, according to Aunt Lydia, because now her daughter has had to be uprooted and it's in a different place and has no friends. Then June tells of Matthew and says, well, she doesn't want to have her baby. And of Matthew gets in the middle, and then she starts getting accused, and she says, well, it was only for a few seconds. But then as the show progresses, they are at that store, that very merchandise-less store that they go to. And we see that Aunt Lydia is telling June, hey, we're going to move you from out of Commander Lawrence's house, which terrifies June because think about it, there are no ceremonies in Commander Lawrence's house. And he's already told June that he doesn't do that. So this is a place where June doesn't have to be subjected to continual rape. So she is freaking out that Aunt Lydia is saying, we need to get you out of there because that place is a bad influence. June says, but Commander requested me by name. And she says, well, there are commanders that are a lot more important than Commander Lawrence. And just about the time when we're going to start freaking out about this, of Joseph loses it. Apparently, all the trauma that she's been dealing with finally has come to a halt. Maybe because she's being shunned by the handmaids. She's receiving hate from June. She's lost any ounce of hope. She's carrying a baby that she thinks is going to be a girl and that's going to suffer in the society. So she loses it. She starts eating Janine. Then she grabs a gun. She starts shooting. June stands in front of her defiantly, kind of telling her, I dare you, shoot me. Instead, she then points the gun at Aunt Lydia and gives June a look, and June gives her an approval nod. And as she is about to shoot Aunt Lydia, and we're all thinking this is the end of Lydia, she gets shot, and she gets killed, and she gets dragged dead from the store. As violent as that was an amazing end. And Aunt Lydia, again, is saved by the bell, but you can see that good, bad part of her, really sad that of Matthew is now dead, together with the poor child in her tummy. And some people have said, poor child, but no, no child that is born in Gilead is in good hands. And, as a believer, I believe that when a child dies in innocence, they go directly to heaven, to the real presence of the real God. And that being the case, that child is in a much better place than if it would have been in Gilead. I'm sorry, he's not being taken away from a paradise. And so, we see a lot of darkness in June in this episode. And I say, let's not judge June. June is suffering a lot. June is a mother that's now deprived of 2 children, and she knows that one is safe maybe because of all the moves the Waterforce are doing to bring Nicole back to Gilead. But the other one is away from her, and she doesn't have a clue where she is. And June has been oppressed. She's been raped. She's been forced to hang people against her will. I mean, she has every reason to be hopeless. And, if you don't have God, you are hopeless. And how would June, who didn't have a very in-depth knowledge of God, feel inclined to love a God that, in a way, has allowed all this mess to happen? It's sad, but it's not completely foreign. We remember the story of Jim Jones in Guyana and how he clothed himself with the appearance of being a man of God to trick people and ultimately oppress them to the point of a mass suicide. So this story is not completely far-fetched, and it reminds us of fighting for our rights and standing for justice and to support our democratic institutions. But that concludes my review of Handmaid Tale, Season 3, Episode 8. I hope you guys like it. Keep your comments civil. Even if you're not a believer, please keep your comments civil. But I'm interested in knowing what you think about this review and what you think about the episode, and tell me if you think that I should be doing this. I'm thinking that I'm going to take like specific topics like the ceremony, like specific things, and look at them from the perspective of the Bible, because I've looked at other reviews and I don't think anybody is doing it from that perspective. So I thought, maybe there are Christian viewers of this show or non-Christians that are interested in learning a little bit more about it. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you think this is a good idea. I gotta go now, gotta go to work. It was very nice seeing you. For those of you that have not met me yet, again, I'm Pastor Gene McIntyre. I'm jumping late on this wagon, but I'm going to continue doing this if you guys think that they're worth your time. So let me know what you think. I'll talk to you guys later. See you very, very soon with my new review, which might be an episode. Well, for sure, it will be an episode from now on, but I will also start reviewing The Handmaid's Tale from a biblical perspective as it relates to specific themes within the show. It's an excellent show, and I'm really, really digging it. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.